So yesterday we looked at for each loop, a simple loop. Today we'll look at loop condition, next loop and exit loop. So this was the loop for subflow that we built yesterday. We'll make a copy of it. There's the loop underscore copy. We rename it to loop condition. And instead of this loop at line number 2, we are going to use the loop condition from the from the loops section. So loop condition, when I drag and drop, you'll see the meaning written over here. It iterates a block of actions as long as a specified condition proves to be true. So this loop it will iterate based upon the condition that we give. So in our case, we want to loop from the 0th element of the list that we have, the list of ages, till the count of list -1. But unlike loop, we do not have a loop index variable over here. So that's why we have to take a separate variable as a counter variable to iterate through the loop. And that, as you know, we do it using the set variable. Let's call it as counter. And since we are going to iterate starting from 0th index of the list, we'll mark it as 0, give it a value of 0. Now coming back to loop condition, let's drag it after the set variable. Now this time we have the counter variable that we are going to use it to iterate through the loop. Now we have to loop till the time this counter goes from 0 till 4 minus 1, 3. That is, counter becomes less than or equal to, what is our list variable? Var list dot count and -1. So counter initially is 0. We have configured 0 here. So 0 less than or equal to 4 minus 1, 3. Yes, it will come inside the loop. Again, the loop will iterate. Then we'll straight away delete this yesterday's loop. And this time I'll delete the end from here so that it automatically connects to the other end. Okay. So what the logic we have written so far is the loop will iterate from 0 till 3, but we are not incrementing the counter. How will that counter go from 0 to 1, then 1 from 2, then 2 from 3? And we do that at the end of the loop. For that, there is an action called increase variable. And we do that at the end of the loop. So the variable that we want to increment is counter. We increase it by 1 each time. So counter part is sorted out. Let's see if num age is correctly passed to the switch statement. So this is our statement from the loop index. We cannot use that. So instead of var list of loop index, simply we need to use var list of counter. So what will happen is, initially counter is 0. 0 is less than or equal to 3. Yes, it will come inside. Num age will be assigned as var list of 0, which is the value of 1 from our list. That is here. Then because the counter is incremented each time, var list of 0, var list of 1, var list of 2, var list of 3 will be stored in num age, and that num age we are passing to the already existing switch case. So let's check it out in action. I'll collapse this so that you can view. Even as you collapse this, it shows the number of actions inside that collapsed action. So 12 actions are there inside this green section. So now we watch how num age increments and populates. Right click, run from here. So num age is 1, message box for 1 automatically closes. 15, 43, and then the senior citizen 65, and the loop has stopped. Clear with loop with condition? We explicitly added a condition over here using a counter. Clear with this? Okay. Okay, we'll move on. What do we have next? Next loop and exit loop. So no need to explicitly mention its meaning. Exit loop is to exit out of an existing loop, and next loop is to go to the next iteration of that loop. So I'll expand only one. So let's say this is our list variable. So 1, 15, 43 and 65. At first I'm going to show you next loop. So what we want to do is, whenever an age is between, let's say 10 to less than or equal to 10, we want to process it. But let's say if it comes under this case, we do not want to process it. So 15 will not be processed because it is between 10 and 17. So here I simply do a next loop so that it doesn't process that. For some reason, that use case or automation scenario can be anything. We want to come out of the loop. So now let's run it, and we should see only message boxes for 143 and 65. That's for 1. 17, it went on to next loop, did not show the message box. It shows the message box for 43, and now for 65. Only 3 times the message box were prompted. That's the use of next loop. Now, same concept we can apply for exit loop. Instead of next loop, we can simply, if we don't want to process anything beyond, let's say, after the first element of the list, we do not want to process anything. So less than or equal to 10 will get processed, but when it comes to 17, it will exit the loop and stop over there. So age of 1, display message automatically closed. Straight away go into the next case and stop the flow, exit the loop. That's it. Clear with exit loop also, right? Yeah. This can be used in for each loop anywhere. Let's say we have some if condition inside a for each loop when we are accessing a data table and you want to come out of the loop based on a certain condition. All that depends on the use case or the flow that you are going to build. Okay. Now we go to the flow control, that is the navigating the control of the flow from one location to another. So labels, as you are aware, it's there in programming languages also, VBA, Visual Basic, everywhere, and every label is associated with a goto statement. Let's check it out. Let's build a new subflow for labels. So what we'll do is we'll accept one year, num year, and let's give it the current year. And using a if statement, based on the year, we will navigate it to the correct label. So if num year is equal to 2025, then we need to navigate it to a label. But before navigating it, we need to add a label at first. So how are labels added? using the label action itself. So I drag and drop the label at the end, and this is the name of the label. I can give it any name. For our simplicity case, it is LBL underscore, let's say year 2025. That's the label for year 25. And when the if statement passes the year 2025, it will jump to the label, and what do I want to do after that will depend on me, on my logic of the flow. So in our example, we'll simply display a message box showcasing that we have reached the label. So inside label 2025 will be printed when we come inside 2025. Now, just if we have one label, I'll show you something else with two labels, because we can cover other actions also. Instead of else, we'll use else if. By the way, we did not call that label yet. We will do that. So this time, if the num year is equal to 2026, that is the next year, then we will add a label for the same. I just do a copy paste, and because it's a duplicate name, it has thrown an error. Let's change the name to 2026 and the message box to 2026, so that we know inside which label we are. So as I was saying, we did not call the label yet, we have just declared it. So let's go to the flow control group of actions. So label is done. Go to is how you go to a particular label. So in the drop down, you will see the list of all the available labels. So we are in the first if statement. So obviously we want to go to label year 2025. Save. I make a copy of it, paste it over here. This time we want to go to label 2026. So we have built the labels, we have called it, but there is one catch. As in every other programming language, once you call a label, it will execute the statements below it. So what will happen is, let me run it action by action, and then you will be able to see. So inside 2025, yes, now it will jump to our label. It has jumped. It has rightly displayed the message box for 2025. It's at the bottom. Yeah, there it is. But as I said, it will even execute the rest of the statements. And that is not like a pad concept. It's there in every programming language. Whatever is written below the label, it will get executed. So as I step through the next action, it will go into label 2026 also, which is what we do not want. So there comes the next action in our list. That is, you can either stop the flow, or if it is a subflow, you can come out of the subflow. In our case, let's do a stop flow after the label is displayed, message is displayed. Now stop flow, it terminates the flow, and it has got two options. Whether it's successfully, you want to stop it successfully, or let's say during error handling, if there are any error arises, you can even print it with the help of an error message. Invalid input, invalid Excel file, and so forth. That we'll see in error handling. So for now, we'll execute it successfully. So it will jump to the label, display the message, stop the flow, and it will not execute the rest of the statements. We will do the same thing for the other label also, although there are no statements after the 11th line. So now there are two stop flows. Okay, now let's run it. Even this time also we'll run it step by step and see how it goes. Yeah, call the label, jump to the label, display the message, and run next action will stop the flow. That's it. Flow is over. It's not executing the rest of the labels or any other statements down the flow. Now we'll try this the same for 2026 as an input. This time we'll remove the breakpoint and run from here. There won't be any problem for 2026 because there are no statements after that label except the display message. That's it. Display message. Okay. Stop the flow. That's over. So understood the concept of using labels and go to statements with it and even stop flow. Okay. Fine. Now we will look at exit subflow. As simple as its meaning, it is used to exit a particular subflow. Let's look at a quick example. Let's say check or display year. I'll disable the labels portion. I'll disable its calling and pick these statements, cut it from here and put it in display year. Now what I'm going to do is pass the year from here and display it in a subflow. Display year is 2025. I make a copy of it, paste it over here. Year is 2026. Now we are on the exit subflow action. That is what we want to check, exit subflow. So what we'll do is if the year is 2025, we'll let it allow the displaying of the message box. But if the year is 2026, we'll simply come out of this subflow. And I'll intentionally print a message over here. Process complete. Okay. So year, we'll start with year 2025 subflow. We have already called this using earlier assignments. So run subflow. It will show a list of subflows in the drop down. The one that we want is the display year. Click save. Run from here. Because our breakpoint is here, it should directly go inside the subflow. Yeah, it will jump there. It will show the message box. Come out and display the messenger. Why I wanted to show the display messenger? Because I wanted to show that after calling the subflow, the control comes back to the place from where it is called. That is from here. So now let's try it out with 2026. This time it will not display the message box, but still the control will come back to the original calling flow. Run from here. There it is. It did not show the display message box for 2026. However, directly it shows the process as complete. So this could be any condition based on our logic. Whatever we are building, we want to come out of the subflow, we want to stop the flow and so forth. So we looked at multiple actions using these two exercises: label, go to, stop flow, exit subflow, run desktop flow. As you remember, in our when we called one flow from another flow while passing input output parameters, we use the run desktop flow action. It shows the list of all the desktop flows available on my environment under my ID. So the last action under flow control is wait. So simply, as the name suggests, it is used to wait for a particular amount of time. It is generally used during UI based interaction. Or let's do one thing. Let's do a good example using wait. You know already We are getting the current date and time using get current date and time. Get current date and time, let's say 1, and we'll put a wait. We'll wait for, so suspends the execution of the flow for a specified amount of time in seconds. So we'll put as 3 seconds, and we'll again do a get current date and time. We should have done is we should have actually displayed this in a different variable so that we could have seen the difference. Actually, that was the reason I took it as 1, so we'll keep it as 2. So now we have 1 and 2. We'll clear the values and rerun, and we should see a difference of 3 seconds between the two times. If this is 28, this is 31, so 3 seconds. That is what wait does. Okay, it's time for practical exercises. After a lot of theoretical and screen watching sessions, yeah. So we have good half an hour, and all these exercises that we are going to go through means you are going to do it, and because it's based on because it is based on the concepts that I have explained so far. So it will involve everything: data tables, loops, variables, if statements, display message box, string concatenation, and so on. Okay, let me explain you the exercise first. So using the create new data table, that is the action to create a data table. Create a data table such as this. That is, it should have two columns, month name and month number. So each month name will have its corresponding number from 1 to 12. Then use a set variable action to create a variable called input month name, just as I have been doing for every exercise. Create one input month name variable in the beginning and give one value as a month name. We'll be testing using different month names, and use a for each loop to iterate through this data table. Within the loop, add an if statement that will check if the value of this month name is equal to whatever iteration you are going through. It will check through May, will check with January. If it is right, if it is not right, then go to next, next, next until the time it reaches May. Then pick the month number from the other column, and it should display a message box such as the month number is 5, concatenated by this text. Okay, and once the display message box is displayed, it should not go further and check June, July, August, September also, because our job of displaying May month is done. Okay, this is what it says, should not iterate further after this message box. And then, are you able to see the bottom seventh point of the screen, or is it hidden for you? Seventh point, it's visible. Okay, so what is mentioned here is should be dynamic for any other month name. So if I put August over here, it should display the message box as 8. Ready? Yeah, go ahead and show what you were trying to show. But 1 minute, the last point was to make it dynamic. So, but I can see if statement is there only for May, right? It won't work for August. Am I right in understanding that? Yeah. Dynamic means what? Input can be anything, right? In our RPA use case. So if the line number 2 you change from May to August, it will not print. So that was the main part. You got no, the last line. Okay, okay. So your line number 2, uh, open that line number 2. If you, yeah, just how I was changing the different inputs, the different ages I was taking, like 60, 43. So let's say if you put here August, there is nothing written for August. It will not display the month number for August, right? If the user, uh, Yeah, if the user is testing with different month numbers, or your RPA is fetching from some other application a different month number, then it won't work in that case. Okay, so run it for May. Yeah, I think you should have done run from here. Stop it, run from here. Yeah, yeah, that happens with me all the time. Right click, run from here. If it is May, the month number is 5. Okay, then okay, click OK. Okay, fine. Almost done. Okay. You also try both ways, switch case also and if also. Okay, I'm now going to exercise number 2. Now what 2 says is to do the same exercise but by using subflows. Meaning this you need to set the input month name in the main flow but evaluate the month number within the subflow, and it should not continue to iterate the after evaluating the month number. Same concept. Okay, now we are talking about two subflows. I'm sorry, one subflow and one main flow. Okay, this is your main flow and this is your subflow. So here you just need to accept the month name or whatever that variable name was, input month name. But the data table creation, finding out the month number, all should happen inside the subflow. So in short, you should call this and the control should return back to your original main flow, but display the month number here. Got it? Okay. Okay, so this was about subflows. Now same thing but using two different desktop flows is exercise number 3. Okay, this should be desktop flow 1 and this should be desktop flow 2. Got it? The call should go from here to here and back to here, and the display should happen here. Don't worry, I'll share you the assignment. So focus now on what needs to be done. Are you clear with before I wipe this out? Okay. Now exercise 2 is subflows. Exercise 3 is desktop flows. If you're done, I'll move forward to exercise number 4. This you can do it now because it's an arithmetic operation. Okay. What you have to do is you have to accept the Celsius value. It could be any value. How we do it using set variable. So the input values are 0, 25, minus 10. The Fahrenheit value should be calculated by conversion of 32, 77, 14. The formula is this. Okay. And it should finally display in a message box the Fahrenheit value of whatever input you had given is 32. Got the assignment? Any clarification? This you have to do right now. I'll give 10 minutes. If you're clear with the assignment, I'll start the timer. It should be dynamic enough for all different inputs. This should be a simple one. Is it done by anyone? Done? Okay. Can you just share your screen? Can you maximize the editor? It's our core part, so it should be our major focus should be there on that. Just show me for 25 as an input. Change that to 25. Now run the flow. Run it from there. Output should be Fahrenheit value of 0 you have given hard coded. So change it. Third one. And now for minus 10, it should be 14. . Yeah, perfect. We are actually done with our exercises for today. Module 4 is also completed. From tomorrow, module 5 is the main core concept of RPA, that is using the recorder, accessing the UI elements, how to capture selectors for web application, desktop application, and so on. And if we finish tomorrow itself, there will be an exercise on the same. Good. So tomorrow morning we'll meet at 9 a.m. Good day then. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.